Hi and welcome to our May reading roundup, all the books we've been reading for the past 30 days.
So it's been a little bit of an unsettled reading month here, but we'll get into all that. So let's go ahead and get started.
Our first book is our Catholic read-along book of the month for May from Sophia Institute Press, The World is Too Small, The Life and Times of Mother Cabrini.
So when we first saw this book, we were a little wary of it because of the cover. Because when you see it, you might think that this book is based off of the movie from Angel Studios. And we saw that movie and we had mixed feelings about it, so we weren't quite confident going into this.
However, it turns out that this book has nothing at all to do with the movie. In fact, this book was written in 1947 by Theodore Maynard, a British author, and it was originally published with the title Too Small a World.
And that turned out great for us because his book is an absolutely wonderful account of the life of Mother Cabrini.
We thought the author really captured the true spirit of Mother Cabrini, her can-do attitude, and her great love for the Sacred Heart of Jesus. She was amazing. Her life was amazing. One of our favorite stories from the book was about how Mother Cabrini at one point crosses the Andes Mountains in South America on the back of a donkey.
And at one point she had to get off the donkey and jump over a crevice in the ice and snow. And if she had slipped and fallen, then that would have been the end of her.
And guess what? She did slip and almost fell to her death, but one of the guides caught her just in time.
So this book is just so good, and if you want a book on her life, this is it.
And it turns out that the author, Theodore Maynard, wrote over 20 books on the Catholic faith, so you better believe we are definitely going to look him up.
Yep, so Mother Cabrini, this book, 5 stars.
This month I read a really interesting book called A Mango-Shaped Space by Wendy Moss. I originally picked this up to put in my little free library, but I just had to read it. I mean, look at this cover. Orange cat. Had to read it, and I'm so glad I did. It is the story of Mia Winchell, who looks like a typical average middle schooler, but in reality, she is hiding a big secret. It turns out that she has a condition called synesthesia, which allows her to hear sounds and see letters and numbers in color. So, for example, if she hears a door slam or someone sneezes, not only does she hear the noise, but she has a color that she sees that's associated with the action. So every letter and every number has a particular color for her. It was just so interesting to read about, but of course having this condition does make her schoolwork a bit challenging. Mia's family is definitely interesting and endearing to read about, but they do have a bit of an unusual worldview. For example, when Mia's grandfather dies, on the day he's buried, she finds a stray kitten at the cemetery and takes the kitten home, which is great. However, she does somehow think that the kitten has part of her grandfather's soul in him. So again, a little bit unusual and not necessarily a Christian worldview. However, I did truly enjoy reading this book. And if you're interested in synesthesia, this is a good place to start. I'm giving it 4 out of 5 stars.
So now we have our quick read for the month of May, which was The Children of La Salette by Mary Fabian Windiot, which was a very unusual book.
This one is about the appearance of the Blessed Mother in La Salette, France. I want to say about 20 or 30 years before she appeared in Lourdes.
And so she appeared to these 2 children, Melanie and Maxime, on a mountain. They were just tending cows. And she gave them a very detailed message about the importance of keeping Sunday holy and not doing any unnecessary work. And she was also very unhappy about the amount of people who took the Lord's name in vain at the time.
So it was not, we'll say it wasn't a very happy, jolly visit with the children and the Blessed Mother. The Blessed Mother was in distress, she was crying, and she warned the children that unless the people turned away from their sins, they could expect trials and challenges and famine.
So the local people took this message to heart, and a lot of miracles began to occur there. But the ongoing stories of Melanie and Maximin are kind of what's strange here.
They led what we'll call very unsettled lives. Melanie was always trying to be a nun in different religious orders and then always leaving the order. And Maximin was always trying to become a priest, but he never did. And then eventually joined the army. I'm just going to say that they were a hot mess.
So a lot of the book is the local priests and bishop trying to figure out what to do with them, both as children and as adults. So that was just kind of odd to read about.
Yeah, we don't hear a lot about La Salette, and we certainly didn't know much about it before we read this book. But after reading the book, I think we just feel more confused than ever.
But it was really cool to read about a lot of the miracles that did happen.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like something we need to learn more about. So we are going to try to find another book to read on the topic. If you have a recommendation for us, this was written for children, so we're looking now for something more for adults. If you have a title for us, let us know down in the comments. This month I also read Monastery Mornings by Michael Patrick O'Brien, My Unusual Boyhood Among the Saints and the Monks. When I saw the title, I thought, oh, that sounds really interesting, so I went ahead and picked it up. It is the author's story of growing up in Utah in the 1970s and 80s near the Holy Trinity Abbey of Trappist monks. The abbey, sadly, I think closed in 2017, but while the author was growing up, it was a really big part of his life. His parents had divorced and his mother relocated them near the abbey, and the monks became like father figures for the author growing up. So that was really neat to read about. Also, it was very interesting to read about abbey life and how the monastery got started. In the 1940s, this group of Trappist monks came from the abbey in Gethsemane to move in next to the Mormons and start their abbey. It was interesting to read what everybody thought of that. Having said that, I feel like this book was a little bit of a slow starter for me. It took me a while to get into it. I felt like at times it suffered from just too much information. There was a lot of biographical information about the author's family on both sides right up front, so we had to get through that. And then later on, there were a couple of times when he shared really, really personal experiences that I felt also like, that's just too much information for me. I just didn't really need to know that. However, it also did have many enjoyable parts to it. For instance, the author mentions how the monks worked on the abbey farm and they sold bread, and all the money that they made, they pretty much just gave away to help other people in need. They gave away so much money that at times they were living in dire poverty themselves and couldn't really repair their buildings or their farm equipment the way they wanted to or needed to, because they just wanted to use that money to help other people. So that is definitely something to think about. However, the too much information parts did unsettle me at times. So overall, I like the book. I enjoyed it. I think it's worth reading. I'm giving it 3.5 stars. And then lastly, I am currently reading, but quite haven't finished yet because it's been so crazy here lately, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie. This book is actually a combination of two books, How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's his most famous book. And then this one about worry. When I saw this one, I thought, wow, I didn't realize he wrote a book about worrying. So I thought, I'm just going to read it. And I like his writing style. And this book doesn't disappoint. It is full of everything I love about his writing. Real life stories from not only famous people, but just regular people, and then also stories from his own life. He has so much practical advice, what to do if you're a parent and you're worried, or what to do if your worrying is causing you insomnia, or what to do if your worrying is affecting your health. So I'm about halfway through that book, really enjoying it, and then hopefully I will be back next month with a more in-depth review of that one.
All right, so that was a look at all the books we read in May.
It was a crazy month here, so we're hoping that next month, June, will be more settled. We need a really good book to read for June after reading all these kind of crazy stories, so let us know down in the comments if you've read anything fantastic lately that you can recommend.
So we hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.